100-year life. Sounds amazing, right? We've been told it's the new normal, that we must prepare for a century on this planet, save more, work longer, chase longevity at all costs. But what if I told you it's all a myth? The numbers just don't back it up. The truth about life expectancy, retirement, and longevity isn't what you've been led to believe. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why planning for 100 might be the biggest financial and health mistake you'll ever make. Before you spend another second worrying about outliving your money or working yourself into the ground, let's break down the data, expose the scare tactics, and reveal what really matters for a long, fulfilling life. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Hi, I'm Dan Haylett, a retirement advisor, retirement planner, and retirement coach, host of the Humans versus Retirement podcast, and a retirement pioneer, bringing you new, fresh thoughts every week about life in retirement. For years, we've been bombarded with the idea that a 100-year life is inevitable. Financial advisors, wellness gurus, and corporate marketeers have built an entire industry around the concept you must prepare for a century on this planet. They push longer working lives, endless retirement savings, and health hacks that promise to keep you going well past your 100th birthday. Here's the problem. The numbers don't back it up. The truth is, life expectancy isn't skyrocketing, and it's misunderstood. The reality is that life expectancy in many developed countries has actually stagnated, and in some cases, even declining. Research from Nature Aging in 2024 analysed data from long-lived countries like Japan, Sweden, and Switzerland, and found that while life expectancy increased dramatically in the 20th century, gains have slowed significantly since 1990. One major misconception about rising life expectancy is that it means more people will live to extreme old age. In reality, much of the historical improvement in life expectancy is due to dramatic reductions in child mortality, rather than increased longevity in later years. In 1900, 1 in 5 children in the US died before their 5th birthday. By 2020, that number had fallen to fewer than 1 in 200. This means that the increase in average life expectancy is heavily skewed by fewer people dying young, not because more people are making it to 100. The number of people living into their late 80s and 90s has risen, absolutely, but the percentage reaching 100 remains small and is not increasing at the same rate as overall life expectancy. Also, population growth has inflated the number of people reaching 100. Another misleading statistic often used to fuel the 100 life myth is the absolute number of people reaching 100 is increasing. Whilst it's true that there are more people aged 100 today than in the past, this is largely due to overall population growth rather than a higher likelihood of individuals reaching 100. Just think about it, right? The global population has more than tripled since 1950, rising from 2.5 billion to over 8 billion today. The number of people aged 100 worldwide is estimated to be at around 722,000 in 2024. But as a percentage of the global population, the share is actually decreasing. In Japan, where life expectancy is among the highest in the world, people aged 100 account for just 0.06% of the population. This means that while absolute numbers look impressive in marketing headlines, the actual probability of an individual reaching 100 has not drastically increased. The myth of the 100-year life is being pushed as if it's a universal reality, when in fact it remains a statistical rarity. Now, here's where I put the cat amongst the pigeons. I think the 100-year life is a scare tactic that definitely drives industry profits. The idea of a century-long life isn't just a hopeful dream, it's a business model. The financial industry wants you to believe you need millions in retirement savings. The wellness industry thrive on selling you supplements, longevity diets, and anti-aging treatments. Employers use this narrative to justify raising retirement ages and cutting pensions. And by convincing people they live longer, governments can justify delaying retirement ages, reducing pension payouts, and shifting more of the financial burden onto you. A longer working life means more tax revenue, with people staying in the workforce rather than drawing from pensions. It also diverts the attention from the real public health issue, such as the rising burden of chronic disease and the healthcare system shortcomings, by making longevity seem like an individual responsibility rather than a societal challenge. Here's the reality. You're more likely to live into your 80s or early 90s, 100. Health span matters more than lifespan. Just because you live longer doesn't mean you'll be thriving. And many retirement strategies are based on outdated assumptions, making people feel unnecessary anxiety about their future finances. Let's talk about health span, because my view is, and I've said this before, that health span matters more than lifespan. One of the biggest flaws in the push for a 100-year life is the failure to distinguish between lifespan, how long you live, and health span, how long you live in good health. Simply living longer is not and should not be the goal. Living well is. The average American spends nearly 20% of their later years in poor health. Chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's are rising, meaning many of the additional years gained are spent battling some sort of illness. A landmark study from the Harvard Study on Adult Development found that social relationships and purpose were the biggest predictors of a long and fulfilling life, not extreme diets, biohacking, or this relentless pursuit of longevity. In the US, the average life expectancy is just a fraction under 79 years, while in England and Wales, it's just a fraction over 81 years. However, the healthy life expectancy, the HLE, the number of years you, as an individual, can expect to live in good health is significantly lower. In England, males can expect to spend 61 and a half years in good health, and females just a fraction under 62 years. Just think about that. This disparity means that a substantial portion of life is spent dealing with health issues, emphasizing the importance of focusing on health span over the mere lifespan. So instead of obsessing over lifespan, you and society should focus on improving your health span. That means prioritizing preventative healthcare over reactive treatments. It means encouraging physical activity rather than relying on medical interventions later. And it means investing in social and mental well-being as much as physical health. So when it comes to the money, what does all of this mean? A lot of people panic when it comes to funding our end of life, believing that our entire wealth is going to be wiped out in care fees. But the truth could not be more different. There are two main points I want to note here. Firstly, there is somewhat of a care glide path where many elderly people initially receive live-in care and typically may not need full-time residential or nursing care until the final couple of years of life. And secondly, there's a little discussed thing called the substitution effect, where most, if not all, discretionary spending stops. And with that, even some more of the basic spending falls off, with these funds reallocated to cover care-related expenses. This shift means that the increase in care costs probably won't be as burdensome as anticipated. Now, when it comes to how much will it be and how long will I have to pay it, there are stats that often surprise people. The less surprising stat is how much it costs, with residential care costing on average £67,000 a year and full nursing care costing on average £83,000 a year. Those numbers alone may scare people, but the key thing here to understand is how long that you might need to pay for it. The average time spent in residential care is actually 26 months, and the average time spent in nursing care is 12 months. You can see that typically the total cost to fund end-of-life care and other costs may not be as dramatic and financially ruining as many believe. The hard facts are this: 97.5% of over 65s do not reside in a care home. 90% of over 85s do not reside in a care home. And the trend is one of falling numbers. Since 2011, there's been a 3% drop-off in the amount of people that end up in care. Now, I do appreciate that we've all got that one family member, or we know of someone or a person that has spent over 10 years in care. And that really does have an impact on our thoughts. But just like living to age 100, the chance of this happening is so slim that planning for it may lead to a lot of regret in later life. When it comes to how much you're spending in later life, it's obviously impossible to predict with any degree of certainty how much it is you're going to be spending. But when you look at the data available from the government, the Office of National Statistics, and the NHS, it shows actually that on average, an 80-year-old couple spends about £40,000 a year, which is broken down into £20,000 on household expenditure, £15,000 on healthcare, £1,000 on social care. So what does all that mean for your money? It means you should not panic about saving for this mythical 100-year life. Instead of obsessing over having millions stashed away for a future that most won't see, focus on a more balanced approach, one that prioritizes financial security without sacrificing your quality of life today. The real question isn't, will I have enough to live to 100, but rather, how can I make the years I do have in good health as financially stress-free and fulfilling as possible? That's the mindset shift that truly matters. So I think you're probably asking a question, Dan, what should I really plan for? Well, I've said this a couple of times. Instead of obsessing over hitting 100, focus on what actually improves your quality of life. Maximize your health span, exercise, eat well, and avoid habits that increase disease risk. Live well, not just long. Financial security, not fear. Save smartly, spend wisely, but don't panic over outliving your money. Realistic planning is key. Make sure you have a work-life balance and don't assume you'll be working into your 80s. Burnout is real and retirement should be an option, not a gamble. And invest in your social connections. One of the biggest predictors of longevity and happiness isn't diet or exercise, it's meaningful relationships. Here's the bottom line. Don't buy the hype and don't believe the myth of the 100-year life. The data is clear. Most people won't reach 100. And those who do often face significant health challenges. Planning for a long, fulfilling life is important, but don't let fear-mongering and corporate agendas dictate how you live today. A good life isn't about counting years, it's about making the years count. And if you're 60 today, your actual chance of reaching 100 is just 6 to 7% if you're a woman, and as low as 3% if you're a man. Let's flip that. You have a 93 to 97% chance of not making it to age 100. So ask yourself this really important question. Is it really worth upending my life for a future that I probably will never see?